Alrighty, here we go. It is the Travis Neville podcast. I'm Travis Neville. It's Monday morning at 4 a.m. You know what? It's a great weekend. It's hotter than shit in Michigan. I'm ready for fall. I got to go watch a little football during the week. This is the week where most varsity football teams are doing their scrimmaging. So I got to go see one of those games. That was fun. But, man, all I did was sweat. Like, it was just fucking hot. I don't like the heat, man. I really prefer fall. Like, I like to go up north when it's, in daytime, it's maybe peaks out at 60, and in the evenings it's down in the 40s. Maybe you got a little fire going in there. You're wearing a hoodie, some jeans, a stocking cap. You know what I mean? I just don't like it when it's hot. I'll sit outside and drink a beer in that weather all day when it's 50s, in the 50s. No problem. That sounds great. Get a fire, build a fire. I don't know. I'm ready, man. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be September here, right around the corner. We're only a week and a half away. Anyway, so let's dig in here. In the De-Evolution of Man podcast, I've called out guys. That's what my intention was to do. Like, men, get your shit together. There are some basic male things that you need to be doing that aren't very popular anymore. They're not very normal, and I would tell you, I would go to the extent that there's this phrase that exists. It's toxic masculinity. Nobody talks about toxic femininity, but this toxic masculinity idea exists, and it's out there, which means that there are people who think that masculinity is bad, that something about it is naturally awful, and that's a problem. And I think that has devolved some things and really devalued some things. But anyway, I'm kind of getting too broad too soon. After I did that podcast, you guys wouldn't believe, or maybe you would, how many women reached out to me with comments or videos or memes or GIFs or just bombard me with all this shit about, oh, you're so right, men are terrible. And that's not what I was saying, okay? Men aren't terrible. I mean, I want you to imagine a world where there are no men and it's just women. I think most women would tell you, oh, fuck. No, I don't want that. We're supposed to be getting along here. We're two halves of the same whole. I mean, that's how it's supposed to go. And, my intention wasn't to, I'm not piling on anybody. I'm not being a feminist by calling out men. Not at all. I'm a dude, and my goal is always to help anyone. I fuck it up sometimes, like with the football thing, but I'm trying to help. I'm trying to figure out how we can get men back in the roles that are going to make them function at their best. And more specifically than that, help men develop their sons to be that. That's what I'm trying to do. So to that end, in this show, I want to spend some time trying to translate some man stuff to women so that they can kind of understand what the fuck is going on, and very frankly tell you women what you are doing to make the problem worse, the things that women do to put men in the place that women are complaining that they're in. I mean, and it's real straightforward. I did so much fucking research on this episode. I read this book called The Boy Crisis by Dr. Warren Farrell, who, man, he's a smart guy, and his research is fucking sweet. I'm going to quote a ton of his research. The book was good. Like I said, ton of awesome information. And you could tell he researched his ass off, and he did a lot of studies, and he really got his fucking shit together before he wrote this book, which is awesome. But, I mean, his presentation is just going to be different than mine. I mean, this guy spent all of chapter 1 was basically anti-guns. Like, oh, you had to throw that in there, didn't you, dude? You had to put your political agenda out there. And a little bit more background on him. He was the only male member of NOW, the National Association or National Organization of Women, which was the feminist group from the 60s and 70s in New York. And they let this guy in and be a part of it to give the male perspective. And, you know, you got to kind of question that. You got to go, all right, this guy's been surrounding himself by women this whole time professionally. That probably impacted him. You know, that probably affected him. And I don't know, changed some things. And that's what I saw. Like, oh, this guy obviously's got an anti-gun agenda. Because this whole book about boys and men, which was, again, it was excellent. All of a sudden, he just takes a break to fucking spew liberal propaganda. You know what I mean? Like, all right, whatever, bro. But, you know, if you read between the lines, that's always how it is. I mean, you read my book, you're going to get my take on it. You know what I mean? You watch my show, that's how it's going to be. If you don't like my take, that's fine. But I think that if you are objective and mature and secure, you can take an opposing agenda and pull out from it what you want. You know, like I'm reading this guy's book, and I don't know if I'd get along with him. I think our research would align, and we could have a very educated conversation. But I don't know if I'd want to have a beer with the dude. We just are on different places. We're in different places. You know what I mean? Anyway, great book. Pulled a lot of information out of there. So let me dig in and unpack that for you a little bit and tell you kind of what came out of that. And again, end result here, what we're trying to do, dudes, helping you be fucking more happy, helping you be more successful in the world. And part of that's going to be, shit, half the world's women. So you're going to have to get along with them. I mean, most of you are doing a fine job, I'm sure. But more important than that, in this episode, women learning about men, how they work, and how you can help make boys into the kind of men that you are complaining don't exist today. Make sense? I mean, that's where we're going here. So I would tell you this. I'm gonna lay it plain. Women, if you were at all concerned about your kids, and let me tell you, I've dated quite a few single moms. If you are at all concerned about the development of your children, particularly boys, you would stay with their father. I'm going to let that marinate. The numbers bear out, and it's unbelievable how obvious it is that kids raised just by mom or primarily by mom are so far behind even unhappy couples raising kids. Unhappy couples, even if just dad in the home, is going to mean that their kids are more successful. Even if you are unhappy, mom. That's how the numbers go. So let's dig in on that. Physical health, length of life, level of education, mental health, psychological health of grown adults who came from homes that were primarily you're raised by mom and dad's not in the house. On every measurable factor, those kids perform worse. Bottom line. Let's talk about this one specific thing. It's called a telomere, which is it's a little thing at the end of a chromosome. And what that determines is the length of your life and your ability to create new life, to pass on your genetic material. And this is in boys and girls. The telomere length for boys is 50% shorter if they grew up without their father, not a man, their father in their home. They are way less likely to be able to create healthy children. With girls, it's only 14% of a drop for not having their father in their home with them growing up. Okay? Alarming, isn't it? So women, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to skip ahead and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. But those of you, I think a big part of that, you know what? Yeah, a big part of that is this. Our world today is one where women have unlimited options. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, you can have any job. You can pursue any, challenge. There are no glass ceilings anymore. You can go kick some ass. Matter of fact, the women who tell you that there are still glass ceilings are just not paying attention. The women who say that are just spouting back what they read on social media. The numbers are these. For women who make the same decisions as men, life decisions, that is, okay, and that's, say a single man like me. The amount of money that I can make at a job with my level of education and my IQ, if you're a woman, same age, same level, same IQ, you're going to make 17% more money than I do. Yeah. If I'm making 100,000, you're making 117,000. Again, among women who make the same choices men make, you actually make more. than guys do. So do the fucking research. Don't just spout out shit that you see online. But that being the case, I think women, and here's the thing. This isn't just my opinion. I last night actually interviewed and had a great conversation with a woman who is a social worker. She's working on her MSW. She's already got a BSW. She works up in, actually, she's the wife of the marketing guy for Blue Collar. We had an awesome conversation. And what she told me was, it's an epidemic, the level that women are leaving their families, either taking the kids and running or just leaving on their own. She said it's epidemic. Men don't leave anymore. It's women who are bailing out. And this is in rural Michigan. You know what I mean? It's not like it's some weird, unusual situation. I mean, there's a lot more rural world out there than there is, more of a city type situation. But anyway, yeah, she said it's epidemic. That's the word she used. And I asked her why. And I'll put the clip in. We'll do a show with that later. But she said they want to party. They want to have fun. They're selfish. They're like, I can have anything. I've got my family. Now I want to have my party life back. So they just fucking bail. Like, I've already got my kids, so that's done. And she said that's what's happening. That's the issue. And, almost unilaterally, the end result of that is that mom gets the kids and dads are cut out of the families. Which is going to create, your sons are going to become the men that you are complaining about. That's how that works. Let me talk about how important it is to have a dad in your life, okay? To have, again, not just a man or role model, also very important, but to have your actual biological father in the home with you. Here are some of the things. Telomere length, I talked about that. Let's talk about that. Okay, here we go. So, dad-deprived girls, okay, and we're going to say, even if it's 50-50 custody, your kids are only seeing him half as much as they would if he lived in your house with you, dad, right? Anytime you do that, you get divorced, you got a dad-deprived situation, no matter what. Unless the kids go live with dad, which, as we all know, doesn't happen. Dad-deprived girls suffer considerably, but boys with no role models suffer even more. Here are some things. If you are a dad-deprived boy, you are far more likely to drink excessively. You're far more likely to be a bully. You're far more likely to drop out of school, to be alienated, or to have a purpose void as an adult. I did an episode about your purpose and how you choose that on your own, but some other stuff you need to know here, and I'll tell you about it in a second. But those are some of the things that happen. 26 of the 28 of the, okay, so that you take the 28 most deadly mass shootings in the U.S. over the last 50 years. Take the 28 most deadly, the one where the most people have died. 26 of them were committed by a boy who had no father. His father wasn't in his home. 26 out of 28. I don't know the percentage on that. Let's do it. I like percentages. That helps. That's 92% of mass shooters came from dad-deprived homes. I don't think it's a coincidence. Nicholas Cruz of Parkland, no dad in the house. Adam Lanza from Sandy Hook, no dad in the house. Elliot Rogers, UC Santa Barbara. Dylan Roof from the Charleston Church, no dad in the house. Dad deprivation isn't just limited to mass shootings, of course. Like I said, it causes all kinds of fucking problems. ISIS specifically recruits boys who do not have fathers who are in the same house with them. So did Hitler. Hitler, for his Hitler Youth, pulled specifically boys who needed a male role model, didn't have one living in their home with them. Fucking Hitler. This is what you are subjecting your sons to specifically, your daughters too. The second you decide that dad's not going to be in the home with you anymore. This is what you're setting your kids up for. It's some fucked up shit. Now, I think, obviously, women, you're not doing this on purpose. You're not trying to fuck your kids. No one is doing that. Okay? I'm not saying that. I'm not pushing you into that hole. I really am not. I'm going to guess some things here. I'm going to tell you that, this isn't a guess. This is the truth. The way that men work and the way that women work It's very different. Let's just talk about some real basic shit about men here, women. This might help you. Where to go here? The number one thing you have to accept about the difference between men and women and how they develop is that women develop biologically. All the things that make you a woman and make you a mom and make you a nurturer, warmth, caregiver, all these things that moms are, and it's great. Safe place to land. That's all biological. That's all shit that's just going to come out in you hormonally, and it's going to cause you to act and feel a certain way. I was talking to Stephanie, the social worker, last night, and she said, she was talking about this premature baby who was in an incubator and didn't have a father or didn't have a mother, whatever it was, and had been given up for adoption. And she said it had just been on her mind, keeping her up nights. She wanted to just hug this baby because she knew how bad it needed security. So as soon as the thing got out of the incubator, she went down there and just hugged and held this baby, somebody else's baby, for hours, just because she knew that the baby would need it. A man would never think to do that. So it's biological. I don't have that in me. And I'm glad that you do. I mean, that's the other half, right? Men, though, develop socially, okay? A woman, like I said, just becomes a woman and has those feelings. They come out from within her. Now, if a woman wants to go be a career person or whatever, she's going to need role models and mentors and need to look at society and look at the world to figure out the path that she wants to take. That part is social, but as far as the parenting piece, women, it's all inside. It's all emotional. It's all coming from inside you. Whereas men, basically anything about being a man is social. It comes from around you and outside you. And I'll back that up for a second and tell you this. This one piece might save marriages. Men will always follow praise. Okay, let's look back as far as you want to go. What are the things that men do, all right, that are, quote, manly? Go to war, play sports, dangerous activities, weights, getting strong, making money. Every one of these things carries with it praise. I mean, those guys coming back from World War II after kicking some ass, you think they didn't get, like, every woman in the world was impressed by their uniform and their studliness? Fuck yeah. Professionals, athletes, women just fucking lay down for them. You know what I mean? If you're a fireman or a policeman, you put yourself in some kind of danger, women fall all over themselves for you. That's a praise thing. And it's not just the women, it's the society around you. People are going to respect you. People are going to admire you. Men seek praise. Okay? You have to accept that. That's how it works. That's how, why men want to dress up as superheroes for when they're boys. You know what I mean? All that stuff. So when you accept that, when you realize that men need this praise, then you're like, oh, well, they're never going to get all of that at home. I mean, that's how it starts, but that's how they end up branching out into being athletes or doing this cool thing that they want to make a lot of money because you're going to have that car and people are going to have it. You can have the nice house and praise, right? And that's a thing, I think, for men that might never go away. Now, most men are not going to admit to you, they're going to be, well, I'm not that way, but yeah, most dudes are. That's what guys are going to say because we're not great at sharing our feelings either. You know what I mean? So when you know that men seek praise, then I'm sure that makes more sense that we learn how to be men socially. We watch what other men do and how they get praise, and then we seek that. We go after that, right? And when you don't have men around you, very specifically your own father in your home, your ability to find that route, your ability to figure out what direction you're going to go through life is extremely hampered. Like, it goes down so quickly, it's unbelievable. I had some numbers here on... Actually, we'll talk about that here. This will work. So some things that dads do that women can't do. And again, I've got these quotes on YouTube where I'm going, besides some sperm and a paycheck, what do you got to offer, bro? Well, guys, here is your answer. Okay, really simple stuff. Dads use two things: roughhousing and boundary setting, to teach this very important thing, and that's delayed gratification. Okay? And if you don't know this, you've been under a rock or something, but delayed gratification, the ability for a young person to understand and accept how delayed gratification works, is the number one determiner of success and happiness in the world. Number one. Nothing even comes close. The ability to go, okay, well, I can't have dessert until after I finish my vegetables. Real simple shit, right? I can't wrestle with dad until I finish my homework. Okay, that one basic thing. Men use that constantly to set boundaries, and then they keep them. And here is and I'm not fucking stereotyping women here, but that nurturing desire for you, that emotional connection desire, that desire to make your child happy and protect them from harm, ladies, that is going to prevent you from being able to effectively set boundaries in some situations. It's going to be tough. You are going to have the instinct to prepare the road for your kid rather than preparing your kid for the road. And dads look at that the opposite way. You want to make sure your kid, women, you want to make sure your child never is harmed, never has to be sad, never is disappointed, never experiences failure, because you just want them to be happy. You never want them to be hurt. And that's such a warm, wonderful, awesome thing that you're doing there, no doubt about it. But if you successfully are able to do that, you're raising a kid who's never going to do shit. They're going to live in your basement for the rest of their lives. Dads, set boundaries, bring negative reinforcement, and then stick to it. You know, a dad is far less likely to crumble when a child starts to cry, or when a child, but dad. Nobody butts dad usually. They'll butt mom though. I mean, again, and this is just in general. And again, this is all the research that I'm getting from the book. And other places too. But so yeah, that boundary setting, like for example, yeah, we'll play more after you get your chores done. But you get your chores done first. You know, I don't think that's a natural thing for a woman. They just want to make their kid happy all the time. You know, and if you don't set that postponed gratification, that delayed gratification, raising a bad kid. Yeah, and that creates self-discipline. You start going, oh, well, you know, you get out of the house and you're like, well, I want a new motorcycle, but I only have $5,000, but I want to buy this one that costs 22. Well, I guess I better work harder. I'm going to work, and do these things and have my gratification later. You know, you start learning that, and then your life is better. I mean, it's fairly simple. Here's a big one. Delayed gratification, when that's practiced in the home, it's the single biggest predictor of preventing ADHD. Yeah, check this out. Children raised predominantly by dads are 15% less likely to have ADHD. So if the roles are reversed, right? So if the kid's living just with dad and not with mom, 15% less likely to have ADHD. Children raised by moms, dad's not in the house, 30% more likely to have ADHD. And that's a direct result of the delayed gratification piece. And again, like I told you, and this is, you know, not exactly research, but I've been single for 3 years now, and a lot of the women I've dated have had kids. And I watch it all the time. I was dating a girl. She should have been perfect. I say that all the time. She should have been perfect. She's an athlete. She worked out. She did a lot of the things that I do. We had a lot in common. We knew some people in common. She was beautiful, smart, had all that shit. But I watched her with her kids, and I lost all respect for her. And you can't love somebody you don't respect. And I'm gonna lay out exactly how this went down. And then all you girls are gonna be like, well, that's not me. I don't do that. Yeah, but you want to. So her kids are eating ice cream. They lay the wrappers on the counter, and the grandma's in there, and the grandma's like, you guys need to throw those away. And the kids are like, the son goes, no, I don't have to do that. My mom will do it for me. And then there's this long discussion and back and forth, and there's argument, and the kid just knows if I just push hard enough, I won't have to do shit. And what do you think the outcome was? Mom picked it up and threw it away. You know? And I'm like, oh my God. Like, if I were in this situation, I'm sure I would help her. There's no doubt. But I'm not their dad. So I'm just going to be some asshole. You know what I mean? When it's dad, there's love on the line. You know what I mean? So putting those things in place are going to make sense. But I'm like, this is a mountain I don't want to climb. No way. No way. And I've seen it happen over and over again. I dated this other girl who's had a son, 15 years old. He was home all day because it was homeschool, fucking COVID bullshit, right? He's learning. He's at home, and he's got a dog, and he just wouldn't let the dog out. So all day long, the dog would shit and piss in the house, and then he would hurry up and clean it up. And well, she had cameras, so she could see he wasn't doing it. And then she kind of started to have this conversation with him, and at the end was like, "There are going to be consequences if you don't." He fucking knew she wasn't going to do anything, And that's early on when I was dating her, and then, it's a couple of months later. Shit's still going on. Nothing happened. He knew it. He knew she wasn't going to bring any consequences. He knew she wasn't going to set boundaries and enforce them. That kid's fucked. I mean, he's a smart kid too, but I mean, the younger one's going to be even worse. But anyway, that's my anecdotal research on that. But yeah, those are some things that dads do. Now, another thing, roughhousing. I'm going to put this graphic up. You can see there where here's what dad thinks he's doing. And the kid's really excited. So it seems way higher. But mom sees nothing but risk and danger, right? And so she's going to be like, well, he's a bad parent. He does this crazy shit with my kids. Or they're wrestling or whatever it is. It's just a difference of perspective. Men are like, well, I'm wrestling around with him, fucking with him, playing with him. Shit he needs to have. Things that he needs. He needs to learn his physical boundaries. He needs to know the difference between like being aggressive and being assertive, two different things. I got to teach him that, and the only way to do it is to do it. Whereas mom's gonna be like, "Oh, he's a terrible parent. All he did is knock him around all the time. He was constantly hitting him and wrestling with him." No, man, that's good shit. Like, I can't tell you how excited I was, and my sister was too, to wrestle with my dad after dinner. It was the coolest thing in the world. We had so much fun. I don't think my mom had any beef with that. I don't think, but. That's it. I think that's what it is. So women think that men are terrible parents because they don't have that natural nurturing. But what they don't realize is all your nurturing and all your warmth, it needs to be structured. It needs to have a bookend, right? Like some left brain to go with the right brain. That's how that has to go. Let me throw a few more numbers out here. Children without postponed gratification are likely to slide down a slippery slope, blah, blah, see. Distractions finishing their homework, bad grades, lack of respect from teachers and parents who aren't proud of them. And again, remember with boys and men, we're going to seek that praise. So negative praise is very destructive to a boy. You know what I mean? Depression, addiction to drugs, addiction to video games, addiction to porn. When you don't have that purpose, when you don't know, when you're trying to do the things that are natural in you and people are shutting you down for it. And think about it from a boy's perspective. You're going from a mother-only home to a female-dominated school. I talked about that in one of my last shows that, you're raised by your mom and you go to school and it's all women teaching you. And they're teaching you this shit that's just a little bit foreign to you, or they're doing it in a way that's a little bit foreign to you. And it's no fault of the women. They're doing what they know best. But boys need their dad. They need men for sure. But most specifically, they need their men. Without that, you're going to join a gang. You're going to end up in jail. Terrible shit. It just goes bad, and it goes bad quickly. Rough housing. Let's see. Let's go to this one. That. Okay, let me tell you some more rules about how men work. We call this the locker room rule. Here's how it works in a locker room. You go into a locker room with dudes, you're going to get fucked with. People are going to tease you, rip on you, give you shit, prank you, give you nonstop shit. If you are the boy who can't handle that, and I'll define handle it in a minute, if you start crying or you get angry or you can't take the teasing, then those boys are going to know that they can't trust you. Because that's all they're trying to figure out. Like when we're on a football team, it's a physical thing. We're out there risking our bodies, risking our heads, all that shit, and I want to know that you have my back. And the way that we figure that out is, can you take some shit? Like, can you take some? I'm gonna tease you and use words and physical fucking noogies and all that shit to figure out, can you take some shit without crumbling? Because I want to know if once we get on the field, are you going to be able to take some hits and not crumble? Oh, and more and bigger than that, say we're firemen or policemen or military. I want to know, can you take some fire without crumbling? Are you going to keep fighting and have my back and pull me out if I need you? That's how we figure that out. And the way it works is this. You got to embrace your shit. You're going to get picked on for whatever about you is different. That's how it's going to go. If you're short, you're going to get fucked with for being short. If you're the only, I don't know, white kid in the locker room, you're going to get fucked with for being white. If you're super skinny, you're going to get fucked with for that. It doesn't matter what it is about you that's different. That's the first thing boys are going to go after. And what you have to do, the proper response to that as a boy or a man, is to embrace it. Somebody's fucking with me for being skinny, being like, hell yeah, motherfucker. Somebody's fucking with me for being white, I'm going to be like, make some comment about that, Somebody's fucking with me for being short, being like, I'm taller than you laying down. You know what I mean? Like, I got a big dick. You got to embrace it. You got to, like, fuck with them back. That's how you make it in the world. And when I say make it in the world, it's bigger than just male-led situations. Being able to handle criticism, I mean, that's probably the most important thing in any kind of job situation. Somebody's going to come to you, your boss is going to come to you and say, hey, man, you're not doing this well and this well and this well. I need you to get your shit together. What are you going to do? You can start crying? Call him an asshole? Stomp out of there? Well, now you're an immature motherfucker and nobody's ever going to hire you. And nobody's ever going to respect you, that's for sure. You need to learn how to deal with that. And you do that shit with dad, with other boys in the locker room. That's how you learn it. By taking shit from people. By roughhousing. Wrestling with your friends. Fucking around. Learning boundaries. Learning what's okay and what isn't. Hey, bro. Oh, fuck, man, that hurt. Nobody's going to keep going when you do that. Hey, man, that hurt. All right, cool. Let's go back at it again. That's how you learn boundaries. That's how you learn what's important. I mean, ultimately, that becomes delayed gratification. I'll win later, right? So that's the locker room rules. You better be able to take some shit. If you can't, we can't trust you. You'll never be a part of the team. And that doesn't go away. And you think you're going to get promoted when you're like that? Probably not. Let's see. Talked about dad-deprived. Dad-deprived boys will drink excessively, drive out of school. Blah, blah. Talked about that. That was done. Postpone gratification. Covered that. Okay, here's the part where women are really going to not like me. Here are some things that you do. And again, this is fucking research backed. I'm not making it up. Some things that you do that make the situation far worse. When you start talking about, oh, men are terrible, they're so awful, oh, dude, so hilarious, they're so stupid. Here are some things that you do to make that shit far worse. Double-blind study. Mothers are 5 times more likely to talk shit about fathers in any situation. Still married in the home, divorced, haven't seen each other in 10 years, whatever it is. Women are 5 times more likely to shit talk the men that used to be in their lives. 5 times more likely than men are to talk shit about the women who used to be in their lives. Men will be like, how's your mom doing? What's going on over there? And here's what happens as soon as you do that. Okay? And here's this cool cartoon I found. But you start calling, talking shit about your son's father, your daughter's father for that matter. He knows that he's half his dad. You know what I mean? He knows that he's 50% his old man. So he's going to be like, I guess mom doesn't respect that in me either. Or maybe I don't have a fucking hope in this world because I'm half him and he's such a jackass. When you denut their father, you denut your son. It's bottom line. As soon as you start talking shit, you denut your kid. You fuck your kid as soon as you start talking shit about their dad. One fucking word, one little comment is all it takes. And it starts taking them down that road, okay? And here's the other thing. Remember, what do men seek all the time? They seek praise. So when you're talking shit, that's anti-praise. And so what men will naturally do, yes, it is very natural, to that is to go away from it. So you as a mom, shit-talking their dad means you're shit-talking your kid in a roundabout way, so they will go away from you. They will start to separate from you. That's what happens when you do that. Let's see. Yeah, so now you're not... Okay, that's one more thing. Here's another way you can tell if you're fucking it up, ladies. Do you use the phrase, do you call him my son, or do you call him our son? And is that determined by what's going on at the time? If he ever hears you, your son, saying about him that, you're our son when I'm not proud of you, but you're my son when I am, or you're your father's son when I'm not proud of you, but you're my son when I am proud of you, you are doing exactly what I'm talking about here. You are creating boys who are going to become the men that you are complaining about. All you girls who are sending me shit, you are making them if you do that. You are creating the treadmill, the production line of those kinds of men when you do that shit. Let's see here. Got that. Covered that. Oh, here's another one. I'm going to bring all this together for you in the end. You'll get it. Women will tell you all day long that they want a sensitive man who can be vulnerable, a person who can talk about his feelings, communicate all this shit. And that's the number one complaint a woman will have about a dude when she leaves him. He can't do any of that stuff. Well, as a matter of fact, Brene Brown, if you guys are Brene Brown fans, women, I think a lot of you are. I read Daring Greatly, which fucking blew my mind. I read the whole thing, of course, and she uses the Dare Greatly comment, which is Teddy Roosevelt, my boy. Like, he's awesome. He's the best president we've ever had. I'm not going to even argue it. But then she just goes on. She's making a living, making a lot of money, talking about how you need to be vulnerable and you need to be sensitive, especially men. Well, let me tell you, and she kind of mentions this in the book, but then she qualifies it and moves right on. As soon as she started talking about that, I'm like, this is how this is going to go. This is what happens. Women will complain that men aren't being sensitive, not communicating. They're not being vulnerable. But the moment you do, as a man, it's a trap. It's a trap. As soon as you start to do that shit, women are disgusted by you, and they can't even help it. They lose respect for you, and then you can't love somebody you don't respect. Men know that. We are so good at picking up on what's going to get us praise and what isn't, that's why we're not sensitive, because you don't praise us for it. Not that that's the only thing that makes the world go round, but more important than that, it's women. You can see that when you start to show sensitivity and vulnerability, they're put off by it. And here's why. There's this conflict, and I don't know how you're dealing with this, but it's the Superman Clark Kent thing, okay? So Lois Lane, she couldn't have been more attracted to Superman. She wanted that motherfucker. He's awesome. He's Superman. He's a badass. He's, again, this big praiseworthy dude, right? Saves the world. He's muscular. He's handsome. He's all these things. But ultimately, she started to lose a little bit of illusion. She got disillusioned with him because he wasn't sensitive or didn't have that vulnerability, like Clark Kent did. Now, Clark Kent was, when he was in that personality, he couldn't have been more in love with Lois Lane. And he was that sensitive guy, and he was all those things, but he wasn't that alpha. So here's the thing. This is what's going on. Women, you are programmed genetically from tens of thousands of years ago to want to be with the guy who can protect me and provide for me. Okay, the badass, the alpha. That's who you are genetically inclined to want to be with. And that's the guy that you'll cheat on your husband with. If you didn't marry that guy, and if you did, you're complaining he's not sensitive enough, you'll go cheat on your husband with that dude. Like, you'll marry the stable guy, and that's how it works. And that number also is not in dispute. Like, women only cheat up on the socioeconomic scale. They only cheat with a man who's more successful than they are and that their husbands are. Whereas men don't give a shit. If they're cheating, she's hot. You know what I mean? Like, that's how that works. But yeah, that's the Clark Kent Superman thing. So that's what it is. Like, emotionally, genetically, you just need this certain protector, the provider. But your mouth and your words and your mind, it's a collision between your heart and your mind, just like men have. Your mind is like, I need somebody I can talk to, sensitive, vulnerable, and all these things. But as soon as you do, your heart's like, what the fuck? That doesn't do it for me. And that's tough. That's got to be tough. How do you get that balance? I don't know. That's a tough one. Yeah, so that's what's up. There is an issue here. Why are men less manly? Fuck, I could literally do 10 podcasts just on the research I've done so far. And I'm at like 40 minutes. This is the longest one I've ever done. But it's this. Manliness is systematically being, deleted from our culture. And here's why. Things are going great. People are living at the highest standard of living ever. Nobody's really looking for jobs. Nobody's really homeless. Women, you can have whatever you want. Guys, you pretty much can too. The world is going awesomely. So there is no immediate need for that warrior alpha, that dude that's going to fucking take care of business and fight and protect. Because nobody's invading us yet. Now, after this Afghanistan bullshit, I'm a little worried, honestly. Because we left a lot of fucking money and a lot of kick-ass American armaments behind for these motherfuckers who hate us. I mean, I don't see them just going like, all right, cool, we'll just stay here, you guys stay over there. Anyway, there is no real and immediate need for the sheepdogs. And those guys are out there. Like, again, listen to Tim Kennedy talk. Listen to all these guys about, like real dudes, guys who are doing it right. They are still out there, but that's not the predominant personality for men. It just isn't. Guys are just getting softer, and it's because kind of the world doesn't need us right now. That's basically it as far as the standard typical stuff. Now, where does the world need you? As a fucking dad, dude. You want to fix this problem? Dad, do what you got to do to get along with mom. And I think the one thing that you're going to have to do that a lot of dads don't do is communicate just this one thing. Hey, here's how I see it. I'm trying to roughhouse with our kid. I'm trying to set boundaries. I'm trying to set, teach them delayed gratification. I'm trying to do these things that they're going to need to make it in the world. My experience in life, beautiful woman I'm in love with, is different than yours. You've never been in an all-male locker room. That's how the world is going to work forever for guys. I need to teach them how to do that, and here's how you do it. You want to have a happy son who has his shit together, and a daughter too who's going to have a little exposure to that? You got to do it. Think about this. I mean, like when a woman joins a predominantly male job or whatever it is, you become a firefighter. I watched a great show called Rescue Me. It's 10 years ago, but it was had Dennis Leary in it. Real cool firefighter stuff, like funny too, great dialogue. A woman joins the house and they start fucking with her like you would with anybody else who joins the house. And now she's filing discrimination charges and doing all this because she doesn't understand the locker room rules. The way I understand it, the way girls work is they'll sit at a dinner together and they'll talk and they'll support each other and they're all very positive. Somebody goes to the bathroom, they'll talk a little shit about her and then they straighten it out when she gets back. And I think that's why women all go to the bathroom together, so that nobody will talk shit about them while they're gone. But they don't do it the same way. So, of course, women don't understand how men raise kids. Of course they don't understand it. Of course it looks barbarian-esque. Of course it does. But guys, like I said, it's your job to just communicate that piece. Hey, here's what I'm doing, but more important, here's why I'm doing it. And if you ever need that argument, if you ever need some information or some bullet points, get a hold of me on Facebook, man. I'll help you out. Women, too. If you're questioning what the fuck is going on, why is he doing this with my son? Reach out to me. I'll help you. I'll do the best I can. But that's it. Wasn't trying to fucking kick anybody's ass here. I'm not blaming women for anything. I'm not blaming men for anything. I just think there are some things that we can each do to help our kids. If you're getting divorced and any part of you is saying, oh, I'm doing it for the kids, you're lying. You're lying. Even if you're unhappy, your kids are going to be better with both of you in the same house. That's just the fucking fact of it. And no, a boyfriend won't work. No, a stepdad won't work. Not as good. Bottom line. You want the best life for your kids? Fucking stay married. Better than that, take a little bit longer to decide who you're going to be with. Learn how to do things right. Communicate more. Get your shit together as a couple before you go having kids. How about that? Now, I know that's a novel idea, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, I'm sure nobody's going to want to date me for the next fucking 6 months after this show comes out, but I feel strongly about this shit. It's fixable. There's some things that both sides can do to make this situation better and make our boys back to better men. I mean, that's what needs to happen. It'll make men happier. It'll make women happier. Everything will be better. I'm Travis Neville. I wrote this book called The Jossman Method. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Audible. Lots of places. And I'd be happy to sign it for you or send you a copy. You don't have the $20. Get a hold of me on Facebook. I'll mail you one for free. I hope in some way that this show today helped you get your shit together. Have a great week.